What's up, my friends? Welcome to Saturday in Shawn's Riff Time Machine. I have to apologize in advance. We have to have a little bit of a school lesson today in order to get to Satyricon, who's one of my favorite black metal bands. I got to ramble a little bit about black metal. The genre or subgenre game within heavy metal is ridiculous, especially these days. It's almost laughable. Like you're not just a heavy metal band. You have to be a blackened, progressive thrash band with death elements. That's what you would be. That would be your genre classification. It's ridiculous. I guess that's just the way to get noticed these days. You have to be something different, even if you all sound the same, you know? That's just how it goes. But at one point, the different genres were really important because they represented like a historical evolution as far as time goes, or a location evolution, which is one of the more interesting things about heavy metal, is how different cultures, groups of people throughout the world have interpreted the music they listen to and then spit it back out. You know, they listen to it, ingest it, and it comes out completely different. Super fascinating. So as heavy metal has evolved, it's become more extreme, more heavy, more something. That's just how it goes. With the death metal movement that happened in the United States, those bands I talked about a little while ago were inspired by thrash bands, by the British new wave of British heavy metal bands, kind of the OGs. They were inspired by those guys. Well, so were the black metal musicians. Bands like Venom, who was a British band, contemporary with Judas Priest. They were kind of a scary, evil band in a lot of their imagery. Kind of cheesy when you look back on it these days. They had a song called Black Metal, and they were an inspiration to those poor, disgruntled people in Scandinavia who were just upset at the whole world. Also, Slayer, American thrash band, they were largely responsible for influencing the musicians that would take on black metal. So after death metal made a name here in the United States, it branched over into Europe. And so there was a strong German, strong Swedish, very strong Swedish death metal scene. And that was kind of the extreme music of choice for a little while. But there were people who thought, it's too commercial now. It's too popular. We need something else. And because of a band called Bathory, which is really just a one-man show, a dude who went by the name of Korthon out of Sweden, he basically inspired black metal. And his music was very low production, kind of noisy, shrill, rooted in ancient pagan imagery, as well as, kind of the Nordic Viking thing. He had that in spades in his music. But the black metal musicians kind of rolled with that low-budget, noisy approach. Black metal is very anti-everything, anti-government, establishment of any kind, very anti-religious. So that reflects in the music. A lot of body paint. Dudes would paint their faces white with black accents to look dead. Kind of Black Plague look. And that's still echoed today. Even bands who have nothing to do with the original black metal movement or Norway or Sweden at all. American bands, Canadian bands, they wear what's called corpse paint. To just really throw that imagery down of we are intense, the same way that Kiss did it. So a lot of the founding black metal bands would be, Mayhem, Dark Throne, Immortal, Satyricon, Emperor. There are a lot of really good quality bands from that time. Some Swedish bands evolved: Marduk, Dark Funeral, eventually Naglfar, my favorite black metal band. But it was a tight-knit club originally. It was a who's who kind of club, and posers were not welcome. And these were very, very disgruntled young Norwegian boys who the world was against them and they needed to reclaim it. Some fascinating stories about early black metal. A lot of controversy, a lot of terrible things associated with those acts. Some of those acts, I shouldn't say all of them. They're not all necessarily the same. Burzum is also very noteworthy. There were church burnings. There was murder. A lot of good documentaries on YouTube if you can stomach that stuff. Fascinating, fascinating history. But these bands inspired musical styles, some of which are really cool and important to heavy metal today. Like I said before, the music would be noisy. A lot of times it wasn't about being proficient at songwriting. It was just a style. So this would be a black metal style, something like this. That's half a black metal song right there. Played with really fast drums and some yeah, you'd have a black metal song. One of the play styles, though, the guitar playing styles that they really latched onto was a tremolo pick. And they're not necessarily the originators of this. A lot of death metal bands, especially the Swedish style death metal, had tremolo picking. But tremolo picking is just really fast alternate picking. And in these days, it didn't even have to be technically proficient. It was just playing as fast as you can. And it was noisy. It made it for noisy passages, and it really kind of brought the ambiance and the style to the music. But over time, like, tremolo picking is a technique that has to be mastered in order to play with it in time, play with it properly at fast speeds, and it's really, really cool. And those that are good at it, it's one of my favorite things, one of my favorite guitar playing styles. So about 30 seconds before I did this video, I came up with this really quick tremolo line that I wanted to play for you, because it kind of shows what black metal is supposed to do. It puts you in a place. And I think this cheesy thing does that. It puts you in the woods or in a cave, right? Somewhere in cold Norway. And that's what it's supposed to do. It goes like this. Like I said, it's a dumb thing, but that's what they were trying to do. They're trying to put you in a place, and it's very effective. Over time, the original bands, some of them stayed true to that sound. A lot of them changed, and for better or worse, some people don't like that it changed. They still want that old boys club, but I'm really happy with the changes that came to black metal. One of my favorite evolutions was the incorporation of more melody, whether that be the Swedish side that just played a lot of like harmonies. So they would play a tremolo line like that and incorporate thirds and fifths, single note picking or single string picking. Really cool sounding stuff. But also the Norwegian, some of the Norwegian bands started to bring out this kind of symphonic or orchestral style with the black metal. So you'd have choirs and organs all with this, kind of haunting sound, and it's so good. So it's, it sounds like scary church music, and it's one of my favorite heavy metal styles still to this day. I absolutely love that type of black metal. It's really, really cool. So Emperor, Dimmu Borgir, some of the originators of that sound. It's really good stuff. Satyricon was one of the OGs, one of the original black metal bands. Primarily two dudes. Satyr, his guy's name is Sigurd, I think. I don't speak Norwegian, I'm sorry. He's the main songwriter, the voice, and then the drummer goes by the name of Frost, who's one of the more noteworthy black metal drummers. He's very influential, very fast drummer. Some crazy grindy blast beats come out of that dude. So their early work is very black metal, but they've kind of evolved into more of what you call almost a black and roll style, where you have the same kind of ambient, noisy elements, the vocal style, but with groove. A lot of groove in their music, which is really cool. It's a lot more palatable these days, and I really like it. They're one of my favorite bands. I had a chance to see Satyricon a number of years ago. They toured through Salt Lake as part of their The Age of Nero album release, and it was really kind of bittersweet, sad, because there's maybe 35 people at that show at the Murray Theater. I went with my friend Ben. I drug him out there. And this is a band, these guys are OGs. They headline Wacken Open Air in front of 70,000 people. They're playing to like 35 of us. But they gave it their all. It was awesome. They even played a track called To the Mountains, which is not one they play all the time, because they were inspired by our beautiful Wasatch Range that they kind of drove through to get here. It was a fantastic show. Loved it. Caught a drumstick there, one of Frost's drumsticks. I never catch drumsticks. I used to go to a lot of shows with my buddy Ryan Williams, and he always catch drumsticks. But I guess when you're 6'3" and there's only 35 people, your chances are pretty high. So I brought home one of Frost's drumsticks. The song I'm going to play is some of the passages from a song called Mother North. It comes from their Nemesis Divina album. This is old school black metal. I've kind of condensed it and just playing some of the main riffs, so you can hear what it sounds like. There's a lot of repeating, a lot of things are repeated over and over again, and so I'll just play a couple of the sections and you can hear it. Go check it out. It's an extreme song, but it does its job of putting you in cold, dark Norway. It's really good. Go listen to it. Such a good song. Beautiful black metal anthem. Go listen to it.